Thank you. I was watching Man of Steel with my kids the other day, and what I didn't realize is that big S on his chest, it's not for Superman. It stands for hope. And as I'm watching this, I knew I had to come give this talk. I said, that's really cool, because it's a symbol of hope and a symbol of power for so many people. Empowerment and the ability to make a change when that change may not be readily apparent. What is hope? Hope is a mindset. Hope is a belief. It's the opposite of worry. It's the opposite of strife. It's both of which have a huge, huge impact on your body. I mean, we're all here for a reason. I think everyone comes into your life for a reason. Epigenetics is the study of genes. It's the study of how those genes are turned off or on. We're kind of stuck with our genes. Some of us got some bad genes, cancer, heart disease, whatever. But what turns off and on those genes is a function of multiple things. It's what you eat, it's what you do, it's how you exercise, and it's also what you believe. We in medicine have something called the placebo effect that we've known for years, where we give you something, you think it's going to work, and there's a physiologic effect. But now we know kind of how that works. I mean, it's not a hard stretch for us to think that stress can cause an ulcer, an erosive ulcer in your stomach, but it's because of what we're thinking. Why is it such a stretch to believe that positive thinking or positive meditation or prayer or imagery cannot do the direct opposite? It can heal, and it does. When I talk to people about cancer, I want them to realize that we all have cancer. Every single person. We fight off cancer every day of our lives at the molecular level. And our ability to do this is a function of multiple things. Our genetics, what we eat, how we exercise, and what we believe. And part of what I want to talk to you today is about what can we do to help fight cancer on an interpersonal level through all these variables. The National Cancer Institute has a certain website. One of my favorite things and one of the best things out there is cruciferous vegetables. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, huge anti-cancer abilities. Now, we're not talking eat your broccoli today, your cancer is cured tomorrow. I mean, but this is decades of how we live. And I tell people, oh, I'm getting old. You're not getting old. It's just our body's catching up with our lifestyles. You know, if we take care of our bodies for the first 40 years, it wouldn't fall apart at 45. And I'm 52, so I know things start to hurt. So let's talk about a couple things briefly that may not be common knowledge. Everyone starts barbecuing during the summer, but what most people don't realize is that when you char meat, when you cook things at high temperature, you create something called heterocyclic amines, which are hugely carcinogenic. I'm currently enrolled in the Integrative Medicine Fellowship at the University of Arizona for 2 years, learning about nutrition and exercise and supplements and belief and mind-body medicine. And my job is somewhat to educate people on everything around us that may be causing us harm and we don't even know it. Not only when you cook these things, it changes the DNA of proteins, it changes the way your body interacts. Another thing called polyaromatic hydrocarbons. Every time you cook things and it drips down on the coals, that big whoosh flare that comes up, that's cancerous also. I know. And don't get me wrong, I'm born and raised South Louisiana. You know, if I didn't hunt it, shoot it, kill it, and deep fry it, I didn't eat it. But over the past 3 years, I've become 90% vegetarian. And I say 90% because no one's perfect, and sometimes you just gotta have some chicken wings. But I live by the 90-10 rule, meaning that if I do what I'm supposed to 90% of the time, my body can probably compensate for that 10%. Some people have an 80-20 rule, you know, it varies. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm in like a month of 10% debt because I ate a couple burgers, but you know, it's all balance. So for summer cooking, use low heat when you cook. Don't char your food and eat lots and lots of vegetables. Now, everything I'm going to touch on in the next 10 more minutes here is an hour talk within itself. Some of you have been to my breast cancer survivors group talks and talking about nutrition. One thing I want to emphasize is that omega-3s in your diet are very important. Americans have omega-6 to omega-3 ratio about 15 to 17 to 1. We have some of the highest incidence of cancer in the world. Eastern cultures have a ratio about 7 to 1. There's no direct correlations, these are associations, so we don't know cause and effect yet. But when I went to med school, my mother told me, if you want to be smart, you hang out with the smart people. So I'm not sure the answers yet, but all I know is that I want to do the things that are making people live longer and healthier. The cheapest and most effective thing you can do to protect your body against a plethora of diseases, including cancer, is exercise. This is a review article I presented at Tumor Board probably about a month ago. It looks at a plethora of studies, probably 50 studies in all, randomized controlled trials, observational studies, looking at the effects of exercise and cancer. What they found in summary, and this is probably hard to see, on the left, the stuff you can't read, each one of those lines is a study, okay? Each one of those dots represent the odds of you dying from cancer. This happens to be breast cancer. If you see that middle line in the middle, that's 1. That means a hazard ratio of 1. That means your odds are just as anything else of dying from that cancer. What all these studies show is that those little black dots, to the left of that dot, some are at 75%, some are at 70%. The ones at the top are exercising before diagnosis of cancer. The ones at the bottom are exercising after the diagnosis of cancer. What you're seeing here is anywhere from a 25 to 30% less likely to die of cancer, no matter what stage. This is breast, but there's also colorectal, prostate, and ovarian. You decrease your odds of dying from that cancer, no matter your stage, no matter your diagnosis, by up to 20-30% just by exercising. That's profound. And this is not just one study. This is 50, 60 studies. And this data is out there. This is my motto. Take it to heart. Some days I just don't eat. Okay. I'm going to touch on vitamin D just a hair. The reason vitamin D is important in immunology and cancer and autoimmune disease. The reason it's important in Denver is that, see this big red line going through the country? That's the 37th parallel. We in medicine know this line because there's a higher prevalence of MS and a lot of other autoimmune diseases. Above this line, there's also increased association of prostate cancer, breast cancer, and colorectal cancer. Above this line, between November and February, we don't get enough ultraviolet B to make enough vitamin D, okay? I have all my patients on about 5,000 of units a day during the winter and 1,000 during the summer. You want to titrate levels. This level is very important. I check a vitamin D level on everyone that comes in the hospital, everyone that has surgery. And I tell you, 90% of people are low. We don't get in the sun. We have heliophobia. We put lather sunscreen on our children. And I'm not saying don't lather sunscreen on your children. The dermatologist is going to come after me. What I'm saying is that give them 15 minutes in the sun. Let them turn a little pink, then lather them on. You'll get 20,000 units of vitamin D just in a brief moment there. Everyone wants to talk about supplements. What can I take? What can I do? Are they good? Are they bad? Well, the reason they're bad is because 3/4 of them are crap. This is a study done by the New York Times where they looked at about 50 different supplements. And the green is good. Everything in the brown to the left is bad. What you see is that only 2 companies actually had what they said they had in it in the right quantities, in the right doses. All the people in the middle had a mixture of yes and no, and the 2 at the bottom didn't have anything in it. They had some soy, some wheat, and just fillers. So if you're going to take supplements, Take them for a reason, a specific reason, not just because it's good for you, because next thing you know, you got too much of a good thing, which is a bad thing. A lot of these supplements are also adulterated with pharmaceuticals, up to 1/3 in one study. They have everything from Viagra to diuretics, and when I was actually listening to a nutritionist give this talk, one of the guys said, well, is Viagra in your supplements bad? Yeah, because one, it's illegal, and two, if you have heart disease, it can kill you. And so if you want Viagra, just take Viagra. Let's just talk about a multivitamin in general briefly. And the reason I put Centrum Silver up here is because that's the one that's studied. I don't have any financial interest in Centrum Silver, even though I'm kind of old enough I can take it now. Lots of news. A couple articles came out in our medical journals about multivitamins, and the basic statement was they don't prevent chronic disease or death, and it's not justified, they should be avoided. And that's what the press took up. Okay? These came from two fairly big studies, the Physicians' Health Study, and great trials. But these trials were designed to look at increased cognitive function and cardiovascular risk. How many of you get up in the morning and say, I'm going to take my multivitamin because I want to be smarter? Trials are designed for a certain reason. These exact same trials, the same trial, the same data, showed an 8% reduction in total cancer risk. It showed a 12% reduction in certain site-specific cancers and a 12% reduction in mortality. Now, if I can take a multivitamin that costs me a couple cents a day and I can decrease my mortality by 12%, I think that's a good investment. A Nurses' Health Study also looked at colorectal cancer and found an 11 to 20% decrease in cancer risk, multivitamins. Granted, these are observational studies, which means the people that take multivitamins are probably exercising, they're probably eating right and doing a lot of other things. Again, hang out with the smart people. Multivitamins in breast cancer, again, breast cancer mortality 30% lower in those that took it that didn't take it. These are associations again, but keep in mind, if you can do anything from this talk overall, and each one of these substances is an hour talk within itself of why, and the pathophysiology is amazing. What I really like about nutrition is that I'm learning the biochemistry behind what my mother told me. Eat your fruits, eat your vegetables, go outside and play. But there's good data behind it. Start today, eat your fruits and vegetables, get your vitamin D, increase your omega intake, and don't take supplements unless you know why you're taking them and what they're made from. I've got a list of ones I currently recommend with a couple brands for each if you want them. I can have them PDF'd and sent to you. That's based on consumer reports and the lowest cost. So something that's cheap. And if you go to buy something, do your research first, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's really expensive and it's really just a waste of money. Food is medicine, an old Arabic proverb. If the diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. If the diet is correct, medicine is of no need. So eat your fruits, eat your vegetables, go out and play. Thank you.